All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Gaurang glories to the Prabhupada. Is that Bhakti Aimbert running the computer over there? Please use the remote and bring the volume on the TV down to 0. We shouldn't hear any sounds when you make any changes on the screen. We never use the audio on the TV anyway. The audio always comes through the system, so we don't need to have any volume over here. Yeah. Let's bring it down to 0. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narotamam deving saraswatim yasam tato jayamutirayat. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, let us offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of God and Lord Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supremest human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author, and unto Srila Prabhupada, the translator, commentator, and our spiritual master. Nashna prayeshu bhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naistiki. By regularly attending the Srimad Bhagavatam class and by rendering service unto the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving devotional service unto the personality of God and his worship with transcendental songs becomes established as an irrevocable fact. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So before we start, I know some of you may wonder, I usually give class every other week. So Arjuna Gopa was actually supposed to give today's class, but he's busy preparing a lunch feast for his second daughter's first birthday. So I agreed to take the responsibility to speak today. So we're continuing reading from the third canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, third chapter. This is Lord Krishna's pastimes outside of Vrindavan, and Uddhava is still speaking to Vidura. He started out the chapter by, there's 2 verses today. We should be doing 10 and 11, I think, or is it 11 and 12? I forget now. Let's see. 11 and 12. Yeah, he's on the wrong verse. That's why I'm checking. Yeah, 11 has no purport, and then we'll do 12 responsibly. So just... Well, then it's 12 and 13. I'm sure we did 11 already. Or did we? Yeah, so we do 11 today, and 12 also has no purport. And then 13 responsibly. Okay. Yeah, so Uddhava started out by speaking about Krishna's killing his maternal uncle Kamsa. At that point, he was about 16 years old. Now we're progressing to this point of the Battle of Kurukshetra, at which point Prabhupada said Krishna was about 125 years old. So there's a big jump here. Again, things are not being presented necessarily chronologically, but the high points of Krishna's pastimes outside Vrindavan are being presented by Uddhava. So we start with 11. Shambarang Dividang Bhana Murang Bhalvalamevacha Anyang Saddantavakradin Avadhit Kang Sagatayat. Srila Prabhupada's translation. Of kings like Shambara, Dvivida, Bana, Mura, Balbala, and many other demons such as Dantavakra, some he killed himself, and some he caused to be killed by others, Sri Baladeva, and so on. Text 12. Atate Bhratriputranang Pakshayok Patitan Ripan Chachala Bhuk Kurukshetram Yesham Apatatam Balai. Then, O Vidura, the Lord caused all the kings, both the enemies and those on the side of your fighting nephews, to be killed in the battle of Kurukshetra. All those kings were so great and strong that the earth seemed to shake as they traversed the warfield. So if you remember from the beginning of the 10th canto, this is one of the reasons why Krishna came, because Mother Bhumi was complaining that the world was overburdened by the unnecessary defense force of demoniac kings. So she was feeling aggrieved about that. The earth, many of us say Mother Earth, or although some people say Fatherland. So the Mother Earth is there because there really is a goddess, a personality of the earth, Bhumi Devi. So she was complaining to Brahma about the situation. It is said also that she can bear the weight of anything, like all the great mountains like the Himalayas and the oceans like the Pacific Ocean, but she cannot bear the weight of one liar. Anybody ever told a lie in their life? So, whenever you feel the urge to, as we say, mispresent the truth, probably don't do it, because Mother Earth is not happy when we do that. Okay, 13 we can do responsibly. Sa, Karna, Dukshasana, Sobalanam, Kumantra, Pakena, Hata, Shiyayusam, Siyodhanam, Sanucharam, Shayanam, Bhagnorum, Urvyam, Nananda, Pashyan, Sakarna Duksha, Sanasobalanam, Kumantra Pakena Hatashiyaisham, Suyodanang Sanucharang Shayanam, Bhagnorum Urvyam Nanananda Pashyan, Sakarna Duksha Sanasobalanam, Kumantra Pakena Hatashiyayasham, Suyodanang Sanucharang Shayanam, Bhagnorum Urvyang Nanananda Pashyan, Sakarna Duksha Sanasobalanam, Kumantra Pakena Hatashiyayasham, Suyodhanang Sanucharang Shayanam, Bhagnoram Urvyang Nanananda Pashyan. Please chant. Karna Duksha Sanasobalanam, Kumantra Pakena Hatashiyayushan, Suyodanang Sanucharang Shayanam, Bhagnorum Urvyam Nanananda Pashyan. Other Vaishnavis? Okay, synonyms. Saha, he, the Lord. Karna, Karna. Dukshasana, Dukshasana. Sobalanam, Sobala. Kumantrapakena. By the intricacy of ill advice. Hatashriya, bereft of fortune. Ayasham, duration of life. Suyodanam, Duryodhana. Sa Anucharam, with followers. Shayanam, lying down. Bhagna, broken. Urum, thighs. Urvyam, very powerful. Na, did not. Nananda, take pleasure. Pashyan, seeing like that. So, Srila Prabhupada's translation for this verse. Duryodhana was bereft of his fortune and duration of life because of the intricacy of ill advice given by Karna, Dukshasana, and Sobala. When he lay on the ground with his followers, his thighs broken, although he was powerful, the Lord was not happy to see the scene. Please repeat. Duryodhana was bereft of his fortune and duration of life because of the intricacy of ill advice given by Karna, Dukshasana, and Sobala. When he lay on the ground with his followers, his thighs broken, although he was powerful, the Lord was not happy to see the scene. Srila Prabhupada's purport. The fall of Duryodhana, the leading son of Dhritarashtra, was not pleasing to the Lord, although he was on the side of Arjuna, and it was he who advised Bhima how to break the thighs of Duryodhana while the fight was going on. The Lord is constrained to award punishment upon the wrongdoer, but he is not happy to award such punishments because the living entities are originally his parts and parcels. He is harder than the thunderbolt for the wrongdoer and softer than the rose for the faithful. The wrongdoer is misled by bad associates and by ill advice, which is against the established principles of the Lord's order, and thus he becomes subject to punishment. The surest path to happiness is to live by the principles laid down by the Lord and not disobey his established laws, which are enacted in the Vedas and the Puranas for the forgetful living entities. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swamini Tinamine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvashesha Shunyavadi Paschatadeshtarne Om Agyana Timarandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Jaina Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishnang Shtapitang Jaina Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandehang Shri Guru Shri Yutapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishyavangsha Shri Rupam Sagajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vatam Tang Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vatangsha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namosate Tapta Kanchana Gorangi Radhe Vrindabaneshwari Vishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriya Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhuvevacha Patitanang Pavanebhyo Vaishyavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara and Shivasari Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. I've never been to Durban, South Africa, Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj was always encouraging me to go there. But I have seen pictures, and I noted that they have 3 altars just like we do here, but there's no interior support. It's just one wide open vista. So I've always, ever since seeing those pictures, wondered, why can't we do that here? I don't really think that these middle columns here are load-bearing. You know, I have an engineering background, so I could look into it, but I don't really think they're load-bearing. I think we could easily remove those so you just get one unbroken vista of the 3 Ds. Wouldn't that be nice? Haribo! Anyway, I know I'd love to have that. Because, you know, depending on where you're standing in the room, like now sitting on the Vyasasana, I can't see Rukmini Dwarkadish. Just barely see his flute. And it would be nice to get their encouragement while I'm speaking. So, anyway, Duryodhana, one of the central characters in the Mahabharata story, as we know, has always been like a divisive character. We know, for instance, that Lord Balaram is the one who taught him how to fight with clubs, and apparently was always on his side. So much so that when the Battle of Kurukshetra was about to happen, Balaram just left because he didn't want to participate and have to choose sides. Some or other, he had this soft spot for Duryodhana, even though he was since childhood a demoniac person. Even in his childhood, he was trying to kill the Pandavas. So how could Balaram have a soft spot for him? So this verse explains that even though Krishna, as Prabhupada says in the purport, is constrained to punish the wrongdoers, still he's not happy to see them suffering. So it's the same thing with Balaram, because they're obviously on the level of personality of Godhead, so they are not seeing the temporary demoniac or divine character of a person in the material world. They're seeing the ultimate reality, that every single soul, all of us included, and every ant, wherever there's life, there's a soul. All of those souls are by nature pure, being parts and parcels of the Supreme Lord. So the Lord obviously sees them like that. The Lord sees them, and therefore He gives direction, guidance, how to come back to that pure state of existence. Because as long as we're in the impure state, we cannot be happy. We cannot be happy, no matter what we have. Now we have these tensions growing between Russia and Ukraine. And like I said, I mean, I hope it's over soon, because every year I used to go to the Ukraine, starting since 2015. Every single year I go to Ukraine. And I've also been to Russia. So it's amazing that although on the one side the Russians are saying, well, the Ukrainians and the Russians, they're all one people, we should all be together. But at the same time, they're getting ready to kill each other. Not just getting ready, they have been killing each other. This is just now an escalation of something that's been going on for quite some time. Formerly, this music festival that I used to go to, the Bhakti Sangama, used to be in Crimea. But the Russians snatched Crimea from Ukraine, claiming that it used to be theirs. So the festival had to be transferred somewhere else. So starting in 2015, it was in the Transcarpathia region, near the nearest big city is Lviv. But after some time, that wasn't adequate, so they moved it now to where it's currently been going on, which is near Odessa. But the point is, we give names to all these different places on the planet. This is Los Angeles, this is San Diego, this is New York, this is Moscow, whatever. But Krishna's not seeing it like that. He's not seeing it that this is the divided planet. The whole place belongs to him. No matter what name you give some city or some town or whatever, it's still Krishna's property. And all the living entities that are on the planet are still Krishna's parts and parcels. It doesn't matter where they live, whether they're living in Moscow or Kiev or Odessa or Los Angeles. So, as servants of Krishna, we're meant to see like that also. Vidyavanaya sampane brahmane gavihasani suni chaiva supakecha pandita samadarshana. If you want to be Krishna's devotee, Krishna's servant, you have to have developed that samadarshana, that equal vision of seeing everybody equally. Not that I'm a Mexican devotee and therefore I like to associate with the Mexican devotees and don't like so much necessarily the American devotees. No. This is an offense. Arcita Prabhu, Guru Narmatir, Vaishnava Jati Buddhi. To see a Vaishnava, a servant of Krishna, as being from a particular country or caste or creed or whatever, is an offense. First offense in that verse, Arcita Prabhu, to see the deities as being made of stone or wood, that's an offense. It's offense. Just like Prabhupada said, some of these foolish people in Puri, they just like that Bishika Shain, that famous story, Imitation Vishnu, when Bhaktivinoda Thakur went to arrest him, he said, "Oh, you're worshiping that wood statue, but I am the actual Vishnu." Such an offense. When he said that, Bhaktivinoda Thakur became like fire. Arrest him. How dare you call the Lord wood? He's not wood. Krishna is the source of all the material energies, so he can appear in any form that he wants and out of any energy that he wants. But that doesn't mean his power is diminished. Just like when he was a child, he was not a child God and therefore he had limited powers. No, he was God. And he proved it by killing Putana and so many other demons. And then as he matured, apparently maturing from babyhood to childhood to boy, like that, he was still the same powerful Krishna. He went to Mathura and dragged his maternal uncle down and smashed him, killed him. So Krishna is always Krishna. He's potent, whether he's in the child form, Bal Krishna, or he's in the youth form, or he's in the deity form. It's the same powerful Supreme Personality of Godhead. And that vision we have to develop to see that Krishna is my protector, my maintainer, my master, no matter what form he appears before me in. And being his servant, I have to see or try to see with that same equal vision. So he's seeing the Rodana as his part and parcel, not as the demoniac usurper of the kingdom who wanted to kill the Pandavas. He's seeing that my part and parcel here is suffering. It shouldn't happen. Why does it happen? You may say, if God doesn't want us to suffer, then why are we suffering? Because of our misuse of independence, our bad choices in life. Everybody has at every moment a choice of what to do and what not to do. But unless our intelligence is guided by superior authority, we inevitably make the wrong choices. So in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, in the Madhya Lila, 20th chapter, where Lord Chaitanya is instructing Sanatana Goswami, there's a whole section there explaining how we came into this situation that we're in, why we're suffering. And there's one verse that comes to mind. It says, Krishna boli se jiva anarya bahir mukh ateva maya jari mari tapadari sangsara dukh. Yes. So this is a nutshell, a very precise, concise explanation of our situation. Krishna boli gaya. By our forgetfulness of Krishna, since time immemorial, anadi. Some people say, well, no, we were always eternally in it. No, we're not eternally in this situation. Anadi, Krishna, Srila Prabhupada translates in this, especially in relation to Bhaktivinoda Thakur's song, Anadi Karama Pale. He says, Anadi means since time immemorial, such a long time ago that we can't remember when we came into this situation. And we can't deny that we are forgetful. Prabhupada used to use the example that if I ask you what you were doing exactly this time, even yesterday, you would have to scratch your head. What to speak of a week ago or 10 years ago or like that. It's very difficult. We are forgetful. We don't remember things that we've done. That doesn't mean that we did not do them. The example I like to use is that every one of us, say as far back as age 3 or 2, we had habits, things we were doing that our mothers remember, but we don't remember. Doesn't mean you didn't do it. You see? Doesn't mean you didn't do it. My earliest memory is about age 4 or 5, but certainly the mother remembers all the way back to in the womb, because if she has multiple children, every one of them was a different child in the womb. She can tell you this one was kicking on this side, that one. You don't remember being in the womb and kicking, but your mother does. So just because we can't remember something doesn't mean it didn't happen. Sometimes people use that stupid argument that you say there's, life before birth and life after death, but I don't remember anything in the previous life, so why should I accept that it happened? Just because you forgot doesn't mean it didn't happen. Again, we can use this life as an indicator. So many things that we've done that we've forgotten doesn't mean that we didn't do them. So Krishna remembers, though. He remembers us when we were outside of this material suffering. In other words, in our original position. And now he's come with us as a super soul through all of these terrible things that we've done, terrible things that have happened to us. Again, we may be very good people, devotees even in this life, but that doesn't mean that we haven't done some horrible things in previous lives, maybe even in this life. Some of us before coming to Krishna consciousness, we probably, did some And even involuntarily, every single day, we're still doing horrible things. The ants and other insects are walking along, we come, boom. Unknowingly, we step on them. That's it. Body's broken, crushed, and soul has to leave. And Prabhupada said, if a soul is in the lower life form and they're forced to leave in an untimely fashion, they have to go back into that life form until they finish the duration that they were supposed to be an ant. So if you're supposed to be an ant for a certain duration of time and somebody comes along and kills you, you have to take birth as an ant again and continue that ant existence until you move on to the next higher. So it's not a nice thing. It's not that, okay, I stepped on him and he's going to become a human being. And no, not necessarily. So even now, we're doing, you could say, horrible things. Just imagine if there were a race of humans-like persons so large that they could step on human beings and not even know they've stepped on them. That doesn't mean that would be accepted. We would accept it. We would try to figure out some way to get rid of them. We can't even walk outside. These huge monsters are stepping on us. Right? We would want to get rid of them. So the ants, unfortunately, their consciousness is so low that they're not plotting to get rid of all the humans. But when they get a chance, they do bite. I remember in the early 90s, I was living in the BTG house in Alatra. It was a double-wide trailer. It's still there. You can see it if you go to Alatra. That's where the BTG office is. And I don't like carpeting. Thankfully, Krishna's mercy, I'm living in an uncarpeted apartment, wood floors. But this double-wide trailer was carpeted throughout. So it was myself, Yamaraj, and Jayadvaita Swami. The three of us were living there. And somehow or other, the whole trailer got invaded by these fire ants. They're so tiny, you can't even see them, literally, without being real up close. But we would sit down on the carpeted floor in the main room to take prasadam, and then they would just swarm over you. You don't even see them. You can't even see them. So, yes, the ants do get their revenge sometimes. But again, the main point today is that although Duryodhana was a bad guy, he was a really bad guy. I mean, we have some bad guys on this planet right now, but they're nothing compared to these demons of 5,000 years ago, like the ones that are mentioned, Dantavakra, Balvala, Davida. Of course, Balvala, Davida were a little earlier. But, the demons that we have now, big mafiosi, whatever, they're nothing compared to those guys. Duryodhana, Kamsa. Kamsa was such a heavy guy. He became the lead demon because he forced the other demons to serve him. All these other demons that had to go to Vrindavan and try to kill Krishna, they were sent by Kamsa. They did it because out of fear of Kamsa. It stated in the Garga Samhita, he was so powerful. He fought every one of them, subdued them. The only one he didn't fight was Jarasandha, who was equally powerful. So he made alliance with him. He married his daughters, and like that, they became co-conspirators. But these demons from 5,000 years ago were so powerful, they could wreck this entire planet if they wanted to. But so Duryodhana was such a bad guy, but still, Krishna had stated in today's verse, he was not happy to see him suffering. So we should be like that also. Sometimes in our position of parent or administrator or whatever, you may have to mete out some punishment. That's just the nature of this world that we're living in. But one should not take pleasure in punishing others or correcting others. You do it out of necessity. We don't like to see anyone suffer, even an ant. We know the story of Mrigari. Mriga means animal and Ari means enemy. So he was Mrigari, the enemy of the animals. He would go out in the forest and take pleasure in killing the animals, half, because he would like to see them suffer. So if he came across a deer, he would put the arrows in such a way that the deer would fall down and be suffering for some time before dying. So Narad Muni and Parvat Muni were traveling around and they came and said, "What are you doing?" "Well, I'm a hunter." "Yeah, but why don't you just kill them completely? Why are you killing them halfway like this?" "Well, this is how my father taught me." You see, sometimes we learn bad habits from the parents. Prabhupada also gives that example of the hotel man, his personal experience, that there was a hotel man who was, these hotel people, they sell meat even in the Hindu society where meat is not supposed to be touched. So this hotel man was killing chickens regularly, and he had a son, 2-3-year-old boy. So the boy saw the father cut the head off the chicken, and when you do that, the chicken doesn't die right away. The head is gone, but the body's still hopping around and the blood is pumping out. And the child was crying. So the hotel man was saying, "Why are you crying? This is fun." You see, horrible mentality. Why are you crying? It's fun to watch this chicken hop around and bleed like that. So Murgari was like that. He was having pleasure watching the animals bleed and suffer to death. So Narad Muni said, "Stop. Don't do this." But how am I going to live? No, you just follow my instruction and you won't have any economic problem. So Narad Muni told him, "Sit down with your wife, chant Hare Krishna, and all your needs will be met." But that wasn't the only reason why he did it. One of the reasons why he surrendered to Narad Muni is because Narad Muni showed him what his future is going to be like. He showed him that all these animals that you're killing, they're waiting in subtle form for you to die, and they're going to attack you and tear you to pieces. So that convinced him. That vision is one of the main reasons why he surrendered to Narad Muni. And people don't realize that now. See, they're so ignorant in today's society. Nobody teaches them about the law of karma. Nobody teaches them. And this is not just today. When Prabhupada was going to school, he said when he was at Scottish Churches College, this Professor Urquhart, he also didn't believe. You Hindus believe in this, karma, but where's the witness to what I did, supposedly in previous life? So Prabhupada, he brought this up when he was teaching the Ajamil Leela from 6th Canto. Because there's a verse there that explains that there's so many witnesses. Sun, moon, sky, air. Where can you go where there's no air? You couldn't live. So the air is a witness to everything that you're doing. The sun during the daytime, the moon at night, the sky. All of these witnesses are there. And ultimately the Super Soul himself, Krishna, is there to witness everything that we think, what to speak of what we do. So Prabhupada said he was very happy to discover this verse because this is a way to convince these non-believers, these atheists, that they can get away with anything. No. So people have to be trained from childhood that there's a law of karma. There's a reaction for everything that you do. Even subtly, the example I like to use when I'm speaking to children in school especially, is that in some neighborhoods right here in Los Angeles, if you get lost, let's say, and you wind up in some bad part of Compton or something, just by looking at somebody, you don't have to say anything, what to speak of, do anything. Just by looking, they'll want to attack you. Why are you looking at me like that? Who are you? Just something as subtle as a glance can get you in trouble. So what to speak of the things that you actually do or say, or it's not surprising that there's reaction for everything we do. Even subtle things like looking at somebody can produce a reaction, and undesirable reaction. So similarly, everything that we do, everything that we say, but in Kali Yuga, understanding how weak-minded we are, we're now no longer punished for our thoughts. In previous yugas you were. Your thoughts were tracked, they're still being tracked, but in previous yugas you could be punished, get karmic reaction for a bad thought. Now in Kali Yuga, because we're so weak-minded, we're excused from that. But if you don't train your mind properly, or allow your mind to be trained, this is the business of the Guru and the society that Srila Prabhupada has established, to teach people how to think. So if you're not properly trained how to think, then nonsense thought leads to nonsense thought, leads to nonsense activities, which leads to birth, old age, disease, and death. So we have to submit ourselves to be properly trained. This is not a free ride here. It's not that we come into ISKCON and then we just do whatever we want to do. That's not what Prabhupada established. Prabhupada established an international society for Krishna consciousness, because if people are trained to be Krishna conscious, then gradually their bad habits will go away. This is the panacea. This is the cure-all. If you become Krishna conscious, then all of your bad habits will go away. Who would want to lose all of their bad habits? Who wouldn't want to lose all of their bad habits? So, we have to be trained to be Krishna conscious. And the easiest way, Prabhupada kept repeating, to become Krishna conscious is to chant the Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. So, let us collectively pray that these foolish mini demons that are threatening to blow up the world, it's a serious business. It's a serious business, because if Ukraine and Russia go to war, everybody's going to get sucked into it. Don't think that we're going to sit here in LA and be, business as usual. Everybody's going to get sucked into it. And not only that, there are a lot of devotees there in that area. There are a lot of devotees in Ukraine. There are a lot of devotees in Russia. So it's a very, very serious business. Let us really pray strongly to Krishna that this doesn't explode. Jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai.